Hare Krishna, dear devotees. Let's chant one round of japa with Srila Prabhupada. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, 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 Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, 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 Ram. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram 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 Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, 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 Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda, Sri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Mudirayet Nashtaprayeshva Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavatyuttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Srimad Bhagavad Gita as it is ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Samaveta Gaur Bhakta Vrind ki jai. Srimad Bhagavad Gita. Hare Krishna, dear devotees. Welcome to today's Srimad Bhagavatam for All session. Hopefully we'll be able to continue our classes regularly from now onwards, because last week we missed several days So I want to recite Bhagavad Gita 10:8 once again this week. So we will be reciting Bhagavad Gita chapter 10, text 8. It's an important verse. 8, 9, 10, 11. These are called the Chatushloki Bhagavad Gita. So I want all of us to know these 4 shlokas by heart if you don't know them already. Aditi Lata Mataji, you want to go first?
Yes, Mataji.
Go ahead, Arunita.
Aham sarvasya prabhavo matta sarvam pravartate iti matva bhajante mam bhutva bhuva
Buddha Bhava Samanvita.
Buddha bhava samanvita. Translation. I'm the source of all spiritual and material worlds. Everything emanates from me. The wise who know perfectly know this.
The wise who perfectly know this.
The wise who perfectly know this engage in my devotional service and worship me with all their hearts.
Yes, Hare Krishna.
Hare
Okay,
Krishna Mataji, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada.
please accept my humble obeisances, Mataji. All glories to Srila Prabhupada.
Aham sarvasya prabhavo matta sarvam pravartate iti matva bhajante mam bodha bhava samanvita. I am the source of all spiritual and material worlds. Everything emanates from me. The wise who perfectly know this engage in my devotional service and worship me with all their hearts. Thank you, Mataji.
Thank you. Hare Krishna. Anyone else need to go first? Okay, we'll go in order. Achintya Dev Prabhu.
Mataji, Arunita starts a middle school today. If everyone can bless her.
Oh,
Joy.
Hare Krishna, Arunita. Wish you all the best for your middle school. So today is your first day of school. May you do well. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. So others also started school. Medha, your school started also?
No, Mataji.
Not yet. Okay, yeah. So Rasapriya also starts middle school, but her school starts September 6th on Janmashtami Day. So, but yeah, wish you all the best, Arunita. Let's start now. Achintya Dev Prabhu.
Mataji.
Yes, yes, yes. Aham sarvasya prabhavo.
Sorry, Mataji.
Again. Aham sarvasya prabhavo.
Aham sarvasya prabhavo
Mattah sarvam pravartate.
mattah sarvam pravartate
Iti matva bhajante mam.
iti matva bhajante mam
Buddha bhava samanvitaha.
buddha bhava savanvitaha. Translation. I am the source of all spiritual and material worlds. Everything emanates from me. The wise who perfectly know me, the wise who perfectly know this devotional service and worship me with their hearts. Thank you, Mataji.
Thank you. Hare Krishna. Okay. Next is Inba Inya. Are there, Prabhuji? Jai Ganesh Prabhu?
No, Mataji, they are to come.
Okay, so you can recite, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Mataji. Dhanavad Pranam all goes to Srila Prabhupada.
Danvat Pranam, Prabhuji. All glories to Srila Prabhupada.
Ham sarvasya prabho matta sarvam pravartate iti matva bhajante mam buddha bhava samanvitaha. Translation, all goes to Srila Prabhupada. I am the source of all spiritual and material worlds. Everything emanates from me. The wise who perfectly know this engage in my devotional service and worship me with all their hearts.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Isha.
Aham sarvasya prabhavo matta sarvam pravartate iti matva bhajante mam buddha bhava samanvitaha. I am the source of all spiritual and material worlds. Everything emanates from me. The wise who perfectly know this engage in my devotional service and worship me with all their hearts.
Krishna Shish.
Aham sarvasya prabhavo matta sarvam pravartate iti matva bhajante mam buddha bhava samandita. I am the source of all spiritual and material worlds. Everything emanates from me. The wise who perfectly know this engage in my devotional service and worship me with all their hearts.
Madhava.
I am the source of all spiritual and material worlds. Everything emanates from me. The wise who perfectly know this engage in my devotional service and worship me with all their hearts.
Rasapriya.
Aham sarvasya prabhavo matta sarvam pravartate iti matva bhajante mam buddha bhava samandita. I am the source of all spiritual and material worlds. Everything emanates from me. The wise who perfectly know this engage in my devotional service and worship me with all their hearts.
What's so funny? Okay. Sonia Mataji, Kalpesh Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Dandat Pranam, all glories to Srila Prabhupada.
Dandvat Pranam Mataji, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. Yes, Mataji.
Aham sarvasya prabhavo mata sarvam pravartate iti matva bhajante mam buddha bhava samanvitaha. I am the source of all spiritual and material worlds. Everything emanates from me. The wise who perfectly know this engage in my devotional service and worship me with all their hearts. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna. Medha and Usha Mataji.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Dandavat Pranams, all glories to Srila Prabhupada, all glories to the assembled devotees.
Dandvat Pranam Mataji, all glories to Srila Prabhupada.
Aham sarvasya prabhavo mattaha sarvam pravartate iti matva bhajante mam buddha bhava samanvitaha. Translation: I am the source of all spiritual and material worlds. Everything emanates from me. The wise who perfectly know this engage in my devotional service and worship me with all their hearts. Thank you, Mataji.
Thank you. Medha.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna.
Aham sarvasya prabhavo matta sarvam pravartate iti matva bhajante mam buddha bhava samanvitaha. Translation: I am the source of all spiritual and material worlds. Everything emanates from me. The wise who perfectly know this engage in my devotional service and worship me with all their hearts.
Yeah. Narsimha Leela Chaitanya Prabhu.
Aham sarvasya prabhavo matta sarva pravartate iti matva bhajante mam buddha bhava samanvitaha. Translation by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. I am the source of all spiritual and material world. Everything emanates from me. The wise who perfectly knows this engage in my devotional service worship me with all their hearts. Hare Krishna Mataji. Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji. Aham sarvasya prabhavo matta sarvam pravartate iti matva bhajante mam buddha bhava samanvitaha. Translation: I am the source of spiritual and material worlds. Everything emanates from me. The wise who perfectly know this engage in my devotional service and worship me with all their hearts. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna.
Hadam sarvasya prabhavo matta sarvasya
Sarvam. Matta Sarvam Pravartate.
sarvam matta sarvam pravartate iti matva bhajante mam buddha bhava sahamvitaha.
Samanvitaha.
Translation: I am the source of all spiritual and material world. Everything emanates from me. The wise who perfectly know this engaged in my devotional service and worship me with all their hearts. Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna. Okay. Achyut Priya Mataji.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Oh, you're there, Mataji. Yes, go ahead.
Dandavat pranams all Shri Srila Prabhupada Mataji.
Dandavat pranam Mataji. All glories to Srila Prabhupada.
Aham sarvasya prabhavu matah sarvam pravartate iti matva vajanti mam buddha bhava samanvitaha. Translation: I am the source of all spiritual and material worlds. Everything emanates from me. The wise who perfectly knows this will engage in my devotional service and worship me with all their hearts. Thank you, Mataji.
Thank you. Hare Krishna. Achyut Priya Mataji.
Hare Krishna Mataji. Dandavat pranam, Jai Shri Prabhupada. Thank you,
Dandavat pranam
Mr.
Mataji. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Go ahead, Mataji.
Aham sarvasya prabhavo matah sarvam pravartate iti matva bhajante mam buddha bhava samanvitaha. I am the translation. I am the source of all spiritual and material worlds. Everything emanates from me. The wise who perfectly know this engage in my devotional service and worship me with all their hearts. Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji. Okay. Did
How are you
anyone
feeling
know?
now, Mataji?
Mostly okay, Mataji. Just some remnant cough but it's okay.
Take
Um,
care.
yeah. Did everyone recite? Did anyone not recite yet? Everyone has recited. So let's begin Srimad Bhagavatam. Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 9, Chapter 4. So we were reading about Ambarish Maharaj. Yes? Ambarish Maharaj is the son of King Nabhaga. So we read about King Nabhaga. And also we read about Ambarish Maharaj. What did we read about Ambarish Maharaj? What did we read about Ambarish Maharaj? Anyone remembers? Yes, Rasapriya.
We read about his qualities.
What was his quality? Anyone remembers? What was the special quality of Ambarish Maharaj?
Mataji,
Yes,
despite having all the opulence, he is fixed in devotional service.
very good. Yes. In spite of having all the opulence, he didn't consider it of any value. He thought it was worthless. Yes. And he was fixed in devotional service. To whom, Mataji? You remember? He's fixed in devotional service to?
To Krishna.
And it is said in one verse, he is fixed in devotional service to Lord Vasudev and
I don't remember.
don't remember. Okay. Anyone else remembers? Nobody remembers. Okay. Oh, Rasapriya, go ahead.
His devotees.
Devotees, yes. So he's fixed in devotional service to Lord Vasudev and to the saintly devotees of the Lord. That was his qualification. And also we read there, anyone who engages in devotional service like this to the Lord and to the devotees, that is the way to become free from all material miseries. If you want to become free from all material miseries, then you should engage in devotional service. Then we also read how Ambarish Maharaj engaged in devotional service. How did he engage in devotional service? How did Ambarish Maharaj engage in devotional service? What is the speciality of his devotional service? Rasapriya.
He would always want to serve.
He always wanted to serve Krishna. Okay. Anything else?
He engaged all his senses and mind.
Yes. He engaged all his senses. His eyes, his ears, his nose, his tongue, his sense of touch, his hands, his legs, his mind, his desires, everything was engaged in the devotional service of the Lord. That is the special qualification of Ambarish Maharaj. We saw that. Okay. So then, see the texts 18 to 20, translation. Maharaj Ambarish always engaged his mind in meditating upon the lotus feet of Krishna, his words in describing the glories of the Lord, his hands in cleansing the Lord's temple, his ears in hearing the words spoken by Krishna or about Krishna. By Krishna means Bhagavad Gita, about Krishna means Bhagavatam. So his ears were always engaged in hearing either Bhagavad Gita or Bhagavatam. He engaged his eyes in seeing the deity of Krishna, Krishna's temples and Krishna's places like Mathura and Vrindavan. He engaged his sense of touch in touching the bodies of the Lord's devotees. He engaged his sense of smell in smelling the fragrance of tulsi offered to the Lord. And he engaged his tongue in tasting the Lord's prasad. He engaged his legs in walking. Isha and Rasapriya, you're quite distracted. He engaged his legs in walking to the holy places and temples of the Lord, his head in bowing down before the Lord, and all his desires in serving the Lord 24 hours a day. Indeed, Maharaj Ambarish never desired anything for his own sense gratification. He engaged all his senses in devotional service in various engagements related to the Lord. This is the way to increase attachment for the Lord and be completely free from all material desires. Then we read how Ambarish Maharaj, so from this we understand he is a pure devotee, and not just a pure devotee, is pure devotee on the platform of asakti. That means raganuga bhakti, spontaneous devotional service. But still, he carried out his duties as a king. Following the guidance of Vaishnava Brahmanas, he carried out his duties as a king. That also we saw in text 21. In performing his prescribed duties as king, Maharaj Ambarish always offered the results of his royal activities to the Supreme Personality of Godhead Krishna, who is the enjoyer of everything and is beyond the perception of material senses. He certainly took advice from Brahmanas who were faithful devotees of the Lord, and thus he ruled the planet Earth without difficulty. So there Srila Prabhupada in the purport highlighted on taking guidance from Vaishnava Brahmanas, not just some materialistic smarta Brahmanas or atheistic Brahmanas. The king should always work under the guidance of Brahmanas, but what type of Brahmanas? Vaishnava Brahmanas. And Ambarish Maharaj did that. Then we'll start with today's verse, text 22. Do you remember who's supposed to begin reading today? Anyone remembers? We'll just begin with Achyut Priya Mataji. Just because nobody remembers. If you remember, you tell me.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Yes,
I
Usha
think I
Mataji.
haven't read for the last couple of times, Mataji. Can I go, Mataji?
Okay, so we'll start with Usha Mataji then. Okay, text 22. ईजेष्वमेधैरभियज्ञमीश्वरं महाविभूत्योपचिताङ्गदक्षिणैः ततैर्वसिष्ठासितगौतमादिभिर्धन्वन्यभिस्रोतमसौ सरस्वतीम्. Go ahead, Mataji. Usha Mataji.
In desert countries where there flowed the river Saraswati, Maharaja Ambarish performed great sacrifices like Ashwamedha Yagna and thus satisfied the master of all yagnas, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Such sacrifices were performed with great opulence and suitable paraphernalia and with contributions of dakshina to the Brahmanas, who were supervised by great personalities like Vasistha, Asita, and Gautama, representing the king, the performer of the sacrifices.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. So Maharaj Ambarish is playing the role of a king. Then again, sacrifices means sacrifices are counted as karma. When you're a pure devotee, you're not required to do any karma. Nevertheless, to set example, even pure devotees do karma. For example, Bhaktivinoda Thakur, a pure devotee, is a high court, district magistrate, like that. They carry out their duties in this world also, simply to set example for the world. So Ambarish Maharaj is also doing. So what are the duties that a king does? He performs yagyas, he performs sacrifices, because yagya, what's that? Yagyarthat karmanonyatra lokoyam karma bandhana. What's the first line? Yagyarthat karmanonyatra lokoyam karma bandhana tadartham karma kaunteya mukta sangha samachara. Yeah. So for the sake of yagya, all the work should be done as yagya for the satisfaction of the Supreme Lord. So how to do this? So you have to do the prescribed yagyas. So therefore we see Ashwamedha yagyas are performed even by Lord Ramchandra himself. He did Ashwamedha yagya, and Yudhishthir Maharaj also did 3 Ashwamedha yagyas after the battle of Kurukshetra. Lord Krishna personally had Yudhishthir Maharaj do 3 Ashwamedha yagyas. And then Yudhishthir Maharaj also did the Rajasuya Yagya. So yes, Yagyas are done. So Ambarish Maharaj also did Yagyas. And under the able guidance of such great Brahmanas, sages like Vashishta Muni, he performed the Yagyas. Where did he do these Yagyas? In places where there are, like in desert areas, right? In desert countries where there flowed the river Saraswati, Maharaj Ambarish performed great sacrifices like the Ashwamedha Yagya, and thus satisfied the master of all Yagyas. What is the purpose of Yagya? Yagya is done for the satisfaction of Lord Vishnu, who is Yagyeshwara. He is the Lord of Yagya, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Such sacrifices were performed with great, of course, sacrifice is a costly affair, it's not a cheap affair. Such sacrifices were performed with great opulence and suitable paraphernalia, and also you should have qualified brahmanas to do such yagyas. The priests should be qualified brahmanas. And you should have enough wealth to do that yagya. Ambarish Maharaj was, of course, we saw his opulence. So he, with great opulence, he performed these yagyas, and with suitable paraphernalia, with contributions of dakshina to the brahmanas. And these brahmanas were supervised by great personalities like Vasishta, Asita, Gautama, representing the king, the performer of the sacrifices. Okay. Srila Prabhupada's purport. Meda.
Yes, Mataji. When one performs ritualistic sacrifices as prescribed in the Vedas, one needs expert brahmanas to know, known as Yajnika brahmanas. In Kali Yuga, however, there is a scarcity of such brahmanas. Therefore, in Kali Yuga, the sacrifice recommended in Sastra is Sankirtana Yajna.
Yagyai Sankirtana Prayai Yajantihi Sumedhasaha.
Instead of spending money unnecessarily on performing yajnas, impossible to perform in this age of Kali, because of the scarcity of yajnika brahmanas, one who is intelligent performs Sankirtana yajna. Without properly performed yajnas to satisfy the Supreme Personality of Godhead, there will be scarcity of rain.
Yagyat bhavati parjanya.
Therefore, the performance of yajna is essential. Without yajna, there will be a scarcity of rain, and because of the scarcity, no food grains will be produced, and there will be families.
Famines.
Famines. Oh, sorry. It is the duty of the king, therefore, to perform different types of yajnas, such as the Aswamedha yajna, to maintain the production of food grains. Anad bhavanti bhutani. Without food grains, both men and animals will starve. Therefore, yajna is necessary for the state to perform, because by yajna, the people in general will be fed sumptuously. The Brahmanas and Yajnika priests should be sufficiently paid for their expert service. This payment is called dakshina. Ambarish Maharaj, as the head of the state, performed all these yajnas through great personalities like Vasishtha, Gautama, and Asita. Personally, however, he was engaged in devotional service, as mentioned before.
Savai manah Krishna padara vindayo.
The king or head of the state must see that things go on well under proper guidance, and he must be an ideal devotee, as exemplified by Maharaj Ambarish. It is the duty of the king to see that food grains are produced even in desert countries, what to speak elsewhere.
Yes. So the important point here is, unless there is yajna, you don't get food grains. That's the point. So the third chapter of Bhagavad Gita is called Karma Yoga. There we see यज्ञार्थात् कर्मणोऽन्यत्र लोकोऽयं कर्म बन्धनः तदर्थं कर्म कौन्तेय मुक्त संग समाचर. If you don't, everyone is doing karma. Everyone is doing karma. In fact, there we saw you cannot stay even for a single moment without doing any karma. We cannot refrain from doing karma. Constantly, at every moment, you're doing karma. And not only that, karma will give you bondage. Every action has an equal and opposite reaction. That is called karmic reaction. You do pious activities, you get pious results. You do sinful activities, you will get punishment, sinful reactions. But reaction you have to get. But if you do that work, that karma, as an offering to Lord Vishnu, then it becomes yajna. And the beauty of yajna is, when you do it as an offering to the Supreme Lord, then it will not give you bondage to this material world. That is why we must offer everything to the Supreme Lord. Sometimes people don't offer it directly to the Supreme Lord because they want the results. When you offer to the Supreme Lord, then you depend on the Supreme Lord, whatever, because you're offering it to the Lord. But those who want the results, then they offer to the demigods. They offer to the demigods. And there's a procedure. You want this result, then you offer to this demigod. You want that result, you offer to that demigod. But even demigod worship is also included there, because when you offer something to the demigods, it's actually, they're not the ultimate, they're not accepting it themselves. They have to first offer it to Lord Vishnu and then take the remnants of Lord Vishnu. So that way, it is still being offered to the Lord and it is yajna, although it is done indirectly. But what if someone does not offer and if he simply takes it, then he is called a thief. So, Ishtan bhogani vo deva dasyante yajna bhavitaha tair dattan apradayabhyo yo bhungte stena evasaha. So the demigods are in charge of the various necessities of life. And when you do yajnas and you satisfy these demigods, when you do yajnas, then the demigods will get their food. And being satisfied with your offering, they will supply whatever you need, just like we saw the Indra Yajna that the Brajbasis were performing. And then by that, Indra is becoming happy and he's sending rains. That was the idea. So like this, the demigods are in charge of the various necessities. For wind, there is one demigod. For rains, there is one demigod. For fire, there is one demigod. Like that. So you worship the demigods and then they'll be satisfied and then they will give you the results, whatever you're asking for. So in this way, by cooperation between men and demigods, there will be prosperity for all. That is the plan of this yajna. But even in this yagya, even when you're offering it to the demigods, actually ultimately it's going to Lord Vishnu, although it is indirect. Directly, if you offer it to the Lord, then you don't get any bondage, because there you depend on the Lord. You offer it to the Lord and you depend on the Lord. If the Lord gives, you take. If the Lord does not give, then because you've offered it, like that. Also, we saw what is the result of not offering. Yagya shishtasinah santo muchyante sarva kilvishai bhunjate te tvagam papa ye pachante atma karanat. One who cooks food simply for himself, who cooks food for his own sense gratification, and he does not offer that food to the Supreme Lord. Every morsel is simply sin. Every morsel of food that he is eating is simply, that is adding to his sin. And immediately after that, the next verse says, when you do yagya, when you offer it to the Lord, then what happens? Annad bhavanti bhutani parjanyad anna sambhavaha yagyad bhavati parjanyo yagya karma samudbhavaha. How is this yagya done? That's the whole point that we are discussing here. Srila Prabhupada is saying in this purport, why Ambarish Maharaj is doing yagyas. There are different types of yagyas. There is Ashwamedha yagya, there is Rajasuya yagya. So many different types of yagyas are there. And kings always performed yagyas. Why kings performed yagyas? They're setting example for the common men. And also, when you do yagyas, what is the result? By doing yagya, this is said in Bhagavad Gita, by doing yagya, there will be rains. And when there are rains, there is production of food grains. And by eating food grains, bodies are sustained. All types of bodies are sustained. Now, where is yagya? Yagya is in prescribed duties. So of course, this yagya, performance of yagya is the prescribed duty for the king. So he is doing his prescribed duty. But yagyas are generally very costly affair. Unless there is yagya, you don't even get. The point is, unless there is yagya, you don't even get your necessities, your daily necessities. You don't get. It is not automatic. Yagya has to be done. Everyone has to do yagya. Then what type of yagya we should do? Prescribed duties. There are prescribed duties for each of the, Brahman, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra. You have some prescribed duties. Even Brahmachari, Grihastha, Vanprastha, Sannyas, they also have their prescribed duties. Yagya is there in the prescribed duties. But in Kali Yuga, there is only one yagya that is recommended, because all other prescribed yagyas are very costly. And we see that Kali Yuga, people are very, very manda, sumanda, matayo, manda, bhagya, hyupadrutaha. They have prayanalpayusha sabhya kalau asmin yuge janaha. First of all, their lifespan is very short. They are very dull. They are unfortunate, always quarrelsome, always agitated, disturbed in mind. This is the condition. What type of yagyas they will do? Poverty stricken. What type of yagyas they will do? But in Kali Yuga, those who are intelligent, yagyai sankirtana praya yajantihi sumedasaha. Sumedasaha, those who are exceptionally intelligent. Medha means intelligent. Sumedha means exceptionally, particularly intelligent. Those who are particularly intelligent in Kali Yuga, what type of yagya will they do? Sankirtan yagya. They will do Sankirtan yagya. Sankirtan yagya means coming together and glorifying the Supreme Lord. Even what we are doing right now is Sankirtan yagya. Sankirtan is not just when you come together playing musical instruments and you sing. That is certainly Sankirtan. But even coming together to discuss Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam is also Sankirtan yagya. This is also Sankirtan yagya. So wherever such Sankirtan is going on, then everything that you need is provided. Just like Annad Bhavanti Bhutan, there will be rains, there will be grains, there will be prosperity, and there will be spiritual advancement also. Because this is the prescribed yagya for this Kali Yuga. That's the point Srila Prabhupada is making in this purport. Ambarish Maharaj did yagya. What type of yagya? There he did Ashwamedha yagya. Where he did even in desert countries, what to speak of other countries. That means grains were produced even in desert countries by the performance of yagya by Ambarish Maharaj. That is the responsibility of a king. He should provide for everyone in his kingdom. That is a real king. And the way to do it is he has to follow the prescribed duties as given in the scriptures by following in the footsteps of great personalities like Ambarish Maharaj did. He did yagyas under the guidance of Vashishta, Gautama, Asita, like that. So Prabhupada is saying yagya, therefore yagya is necessary for the state to perform, because by yagya the people in general will be fed sumptuously. So if that's why Srila Prabhupada often said this also, that the leaders, they should be trained, they should be Srila Prabhupada said they should all have, like in the parliament, before they started their meetings, they should have Sankirtan, right? Everyone should do Sankirtan before they start their meetings. Why not? Because they are the leaders, like Ambarish Maharaj, they are the leaders. Let them be guided by the scripture and by the devotees, and then there will be no nothing lacking. There will be enough food, enough prosperity and peace in the world. Why don't they at least try it once? Like that. Okay. So next, after Meda, Priyanka Mataji. Priyanka Haripriya. Actually, Nilambari Mataji, Narsimhalila Chaitanya Prabhu first. Narsimhalila Chaitanya Prabhu and family, then Nilambari Mataji, and Priyanka Haripriya Mataji. Okay, so Suraj Purti Mataji Prabhuji. Yasya kratushu girvanai sadasya ritvijo janaha tulya rupascha nimisha vyadrishyanta suvasasaha.
Hare Krishna.
Yes, Hare Krishna.
Translation. In the sacrifice arranged by Maharaj Ambarish, the members of the assembly and the priests, especially Hota,
Udgata,
Brahma, and
Advaryu,
were gorgeously dressed, and they all looked exactly like us. They eagerly saw to the proper performance of the yajna.
Yes, Hare Krishna. So in the sacrifice arranged by Maharaj Ambarish, the members of the assembly and the priests were gorgeously dressed. So who are the members of the assembly? First of all, there is Yajamana. Yajamana means the person who is actually doing that yagya. In this case, Ambarish Maharaj. And then there will be 4 priests on 4 sides of yagya. Havan Kund will be there. So there will be on 4 sides of the Havan Kund, there will be 4 priests. Each priest is known by a particular name. So there are 4 priests. What are the names of the 4? They are also named like Hota, Udgata, Brahma and Advaryu. And there are 4 Vedas, right? So each of these 4 priests, each priest is specialized in the mantras from one of the Vedas, like that. So let's say Rig Veda, right? That priest who is specialized in chanting the mantras from the Rig Veda, he is called Hota, like that. So then the next Veda, one who knows the mantras from the next Veda, Sama Veda, Atharva Veda, like that. They are known by different names. These are the 4 priests. But these 4 priests are also gorgeously dressed. And all the members that were participating in that, they were also very gorgeously dressed with costly silk garments like that. And they all looked exactly like demigods. And they eagerly saw to the proper performance of the yajna. So this yajna is a costly affair in so many ways. You need sandalwood, you need ghee, you need qualified priests, and there should be enough wealth to give as dakshina to the priests after the yajna is completed, and also you give gifts. So you should have one who wants to do a sacrifice, he has to have wealth. Otherwise, he cannot do sacrifice. So we see the opulence here. All the priests look like demigods. Next. Swargo na prarthito yasya manujair amarapriyaha shrinvadbhir upagayadbhir uttama shloka cheshtitam. Yeah. Surud is there?
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Yes, Prabhu.
The citizens of the state of Maharaja Ambarisha were accustomed to chanting and hearing about the glorious activities of the personality of Godhead. Thus, they never aspired to be elevated to the heavenly planets, which are extremely dear even to the demigods.
Another interesting point. See, Ambarish Maharaj is their king. We already said Ambarish Maharaj is doing all these activities to set example to the citizen. But he himself is a pure devotee. And they are all his followers. Being his followers, the citizens, they were also very much influenced by his pure devotional service. That is understandable, isn't it? So, as I said earlier, you perform yajnas to various demigods when you want some particular results, then you worship. you you want a beautiful wife, then you worship goddess Durga, Uma, Parvati Devi. You want a good husband, then you worship Lord Shiva. Like that, you want good health, you worship Surya. People do that. Sometimes they worship Lord Narayan, but when you worship Lord Narayan expecting something, you have to just depend whether he gives, if he gives, or if he doesn't give. You have to just wait, right? Generally he gives, but yeah. But but Ambarish Maharaj is a pure devotee. I was listening to Srila Prabhupada's morning walk this morning, and Srila Prabhupada, sometimes he challenges his disciples. So one disciple said about people from other faiths, whether they're Muslims or Christians, and how they were going to preach to them that you should render service to God, you should love God, that's the goal of life. So now Prabhupada is playing the devil's advocate. So Prabhupada is saying he's taking the side of the other faith people. And then he said that how you can say that I don't love God? I also go to church, I also go to mosque. So how you are saying that I don't love God? So then the devotees were saying, no, loving God means it has to actually reflect in your life. It's not just a matter of going to the temple or going to the mosque once a week or daily. That's not the thing. There has to be a change in your life. So Prabhupada was saying that, but how you are saying that I am not having love? What is it that I am lacking, which you are doing, which tells you that you have love of God and I don't have love of God? How can you prove that? So they tried so many different things, and then Prabhupada just went on, no. And someone said, no, it's not just doing some time. You should do it all the time. You should do it all the time. There also Prabhupada said, well, some people do it 24 hours, and some people do 8 hours, but you cannot say that the 8 hours that they're doing, that they don't love God. You cannot say that. Finally, the devotee himself came up with some point and Srila Prabhupada nailed on that. And Srila Prabhupada said, yes, this is the point. If you call yourself a lover of God, how can you disobey God? That's the very first point. And Srila Prabhupada said, God says, thou shalt not kill. Why you're killing? If you love God, how can you disobey God? First point. Second point, Srila Prabhupada said, if you love God, then why you're asking something from Him? Love means you simply do something for the pleasure of the beloved. You don't do something in expectation of something, that you do this so that you'll get something in return. That is not love. That is not love. So he said, first of all, first point is that how can you disobey? If you say you love God, how you can disobey God? You know what God is expecting from you, what He's telling, and how you can disobey and still say that you love God. And second point, Srila Prabhupada said, Anya Abhilashita Shunyam, right? That how you can expect anything. Well, if you love means you should do it simply for the pleasure of the Lord, not because you want something from Him. So, like that, Ambarish Maharaj is a pure devotee. Anya Abhilashita Shunyam. And then his citizens, seeing such a king, they didn't expect anything. Although they were doing yagya, and from yagya you get rain and this and that, but you just do it because the Vedas say you should do these duties. So yeah, they're doing it. Let's say to set example, in the society you do it. But not that by doing this, now I will get this, I will get that. That is not love of God. So they didn't desire. Even if you get the results, devotees will reject those results. Let's say if you're chanting Hare Krishna, you will be entitled to go to Swarga also. Why not? But if you are a devotee, even if you are offered that Swarga, you will not accept it. Because your goal is Krishna's pleasure. Your goal is not, oh, if I'm getting this, why not? Let me take this and enjoy this. No. Devotee will not expect. He will not expect, and even if given, he won't accept it. He won't expect and he won't accept also, even if it is given. So here, the followers of Ambarish Maharaj, the citizens of the state of Maharaj Ambarish, they were accustomed to chanting and hearing about the glorious activities of the personality of Godhead. This chanting and hearing about the activities of the Lord is nothing but pure, this is bhakti. This is Sakshat Bhakti. Sakshat Bhakti means direct devotional service. Pure devotional service means this activity will be done 24/7 without any other expectation. But whatever little time you do this activity, then that activity is Sakshat Bhakti, it's direct devotional service. And they were accustomed to this. All our, even until recently means some decades ago, maybe now also in some villages, I haven't been to villages lately. But even in my childhood, I have seen in the evenings, every village has some temples, right? Ramalayam or some temple will be there. Lord Vishnu's temple will be there. Every village will have. By every village, every neighborhood, right, in the village, where people can easily walk. And then the next, little further away, there'll be another temple. So you don't have to walk so far. And every evening after this is not just, I'm not just talking in one village in South India or somewhere. All over, this was the system. Because Srila Prabhupada also gives examples about his childhood when they would go to there, because he was brought up in the city in Calcutta. But, when he would go to his grandparents' home like that, so every evening they would go after dinner. So dinner again, there's no question of electricity. So you finish your dinner and everything before it gets dark. And after you take dinner, you walk to the temple, nearby temple, where there will be Harikatha. They will be telling Mahabharata, Ramayana. You listen to that nicely, and then you walk back home and you go to bed, you sleep. And all night you'll be dreaming about Ramayana and Mahabharata, whatever you hear. So nice. This was the system. This is how the kings were guiding, training all the citizens. You are living your livelihood, and you have to live according to dharma. The king will actually educate them in dharma and enforce it also. You cannot deviate from dharma. You will get severe punishment, either out of fear or out of a sense of dharma. People would stand by dharma, live by dharma, and morning and evening they will hear Krishna Katha. So this was the training for all the citizens, regardless of which background, which varna you are from. You can be from a low class, high class, it does not matter. Everybody will go to the temple and listen to Ramayana and Mahabharata. How nice, isn't it? Where is that culture now? So we have to reintroduce that culture now. To whatever extent we have our influence within the family, within the community, friends, let's get together morning and evening and sit down and hear Krishna Katha. And then on a bigger scale, the government, the king, the president, they should make such arrangement. This will make the world peaceful. This will make the world peaceful, happy, prosperous. And let's not wait for some great personality to come and do something within our capacity. This is the only solution. Time and again we see this in the scripture. The only solution is we should come together and hear Krishna Katha. Words of Krishna, words about Krishna. From Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita, Chaitanya Charitamrita, Chaitanya Bhagavad. Just come together and read and hear in the association of devotees. Chant, clap hands, and let's do some kirtan, some bhajan. That's all. This is the goal of life. That's what they do in the spiritual world. So we should take time out for this. So Ambarish Maharaj, he trained so nicely that's ingrained in them. When you come and when you discuss Krishna Katha, it's not that by doing this, what I'm going to get, I can go to Swarga. No, that desire is not even there in their hearts. Even though they do everything that is required there, see, for translation, the citizens of the state of Maharaj Ambarish were accustomed to chanting and hearing about the glorious activities of the personality of Godhead. Thus, they never aspired to be elevated to the heavenly planets, which are extremely dear even to the demigods. Yes, those who are materialistic, for them, material opulences are very attractive, very attractive. And the opulences of the heavenly planets cannot be compared to the opulences on this earth. So, if you are attracted to the opulences of this earth, definitely you'll be attracted to the opulences of the heavenly planets. But these citizens of Ambarish Maharaj, they were so accustomed to hearing about the pastimes about the Lord, hearing about the words spoken by the Lord, that like Ambarish Maharaj, they didn't consider the heavenly opulences to be worth a fig. Nothing. They got the relishment from the pastimes itself, from the words of the Lord itself. How fortunate they are. Not just fortunate, how exalted these citizens are. Purport. Continuation. So next is, who's next? Suhrud, Mataji are there?
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna. Purport.
A pure devotee who has trained in the practice of chanting, hearing the holy name of the Lord in his fame, qualities, form, paraphernalia, and so on is never interested in elevation to the heavenly planets, even though such places are extremely dear to the demigods. Narayana Parasarve na kuta sachna vibhayati swara gapa varga nara kesh api tulya darshana. Devotees solely engaged in the devotional service of the Supreme Personality of Godhead never feared any condition of the heavenly planets of liberation and the hellish planets are all sent to a devotee. Bhagavad Gita 6.17. Bhagavatam 6.17-18. A devotee is always situated in the spiritual world. Therefore, he does not desire anything. He is known as Arcanabhakti or desireless, because he has not desire except to render to render transcendental loving service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Thus, Maharaj was the most exalted devotee of God. He chanted sixteen
Yeah.
that the citizens in his state were not interested in anything material, including happiness, including the happiness of the heaven.
Yeah. Not interested even in the happiness of the heavenly planets. A pure devotee who has been trained in the practice of chanting and hearing the holy name of the Lord and his fame, qualities, form, paraphernalia, and so on, is never interested in elevation to the heavenly planets. What do we understand from this? A pure devotee who is trained in practicing chanting and hearing, he is not interested. And all the citizens of Ambarish Maharaj are also not interested. That means what? The citizens are all pure devotees, isn't it? They had no taste for any heavenly opulences. So one who is trained in hearing and chanting the glories of the Lord 24/7, he is a pure devotee. And such a pure devotee, we already read about Ambarish Maharaj. He had all the 7 islands under his command. He didn't consider it worth even a stone or something, like a pebble, of no value. His citizens were also like him. They had taste in hearing and chanting the glories of the Lord. They were so trained that heavens are considered insignificant. They considered the heavens to be insignificant. So, does it mean that the heavens are insignificant? Great demigods are so attached to the heavenly planets. Lord Indra is feeling always very insecure. If anyone does more yagyas, Ashwamedha yagyas, then he becomes concerned that, oh, this king, he will take over my position. Then he'll try to distract that tapasvi or that king from his particular, advancement by sending some apsara or something. That means even big demigods find the pleasures of heaven to be very delightful. They are actually, from a material perspective, they are very attractive. What is that? परम दृष्ट्वा निवर्तते विषया विनिवर्तन्ते निराहारस्य देहिनः रसवर्जम रसोप्यस्य परम दृष्ट्वा निवर्तते. Higher taste, one who gets a higher taste, then to him all these things seem to be very insignificant. What is that higher taste? Higher taste is in chanting and hearing the glories of the Supreme Lord, his activities, his form, his pastimes, his qualities. Someone who gets a taste for that and who is doing that continuously 24 hours, such a person, to him, even those heavenly pleasures after which the demigods are hankering, they will seem to be insignificant. So from this we understand the citizens of Ambarish Maharaj were also pure devotees. नारायण परा सर्वे न कुतश्चन बिभ्यति स्वर्गापवर्ग नरकेषु अपि तुल्यार्थ दर्शिनः. So for such pure devotees, if they don't care for heavenly planets, you put them in hell, same thing, because their source of happiness or misery has got nothing to do with the material condition. Their source of happiness is when they get to hear about the glories of the Lord. And then the source of misery is when they don't get an opportunity to hear or chant about the glories of the Lord. That is misery to them. So whether you put them in heaven or hell, wherever they get an opportunity to hear about the Lord or to glorify the Lord, they are very happy. Whether they are in heaven or hell, it does not matter. To them, that is the spiritual world where they are able to glorify the Supreme Lord. And they glorify the Supreme Lord under all circumstances. Even if they are not able to do externally, let's say they get, a stroke or something, in their mind they're constantly glorifying the Lord. Nothing can, no material circumstance can stop a pure devotee from glorifying the Supreme Lord. Then what is hell or what is heaven to them? It is all the same. That's a pure devotee. So therefore, being a pure devotee is not a small thing. It's a big position. Being a Vaishnava is not an ordinary thing. Right? Devotees solely engaged in the devotional service of the Supreme Personality of Godhead Narayan. Pay attention to the words. Devotees solely engaged. That means that's their only activity. Devotional service to the Supreme Lord. Such devotees never fear any condition of life. The heavenly planets, liberation, and hellish planets are all the same to a devotee. So as long as we are even feeling, we have a desire for liberation because this world is miserable, we can understand I am not a pure devotee yet. Because for a pure devotee, whether it's liberation, whether it is heavenly planets or hellish planets, it is all the same. Wherever he is able to render devotional service to Krishna, that's spiritual world to him. A devotee is always situated in the spiritual world. He's always in the spiritual world because he won't spend a moment without doing devotional service. So naturally, he has no material desires. Akama. Kama means lusty desires. Akama means he has no lusty desires. Desireless. He has nothing to desire save and except rendering loving devotional service to the Supreme Lord. And this is the quality of Ambarish Maharaj, most exalted devotee of the Lord. And naturally, right, like father, like son, it is said, or you have such a guru, then his disciples will also be trained like that. You have such a king, then his subjects will also be trained like that. He is such an exalted devotee, all is like Lord Ramchandra's kingdom. Rama Rajya, it is said. Nobody would even lock their doors of the homes because they had such a king. Ambarish Maharaj was such a leader, such a king. All the citizens were pure devotees. We can understand from their quality, we can understand they were all pure devotees. They were trained by him. He trained his subjects in such a way that the citizens in his state were not interested in anything material, including even the happiness of the heavenly planets. So we will stop there. And Mataji will read tomorrow. Swarnangi Mataji will read. And after that, Neelambari Mataji will read tomorrow. Okay. Let's read Bhagavad Gita. We are in chapter 18, text 70, I think. Actually, it's here. Yeah. Please repeat. Adhyeshyate cha ya imam
Adhyeshyate cha yam imam
dharmyam samvadam avayoh
dharmyam samvadam avayo
jnana yagyena tenaham
jnana yagnena tenaham
ishtasyam iti me matihi.
ishtasyam iti me
And I
matihi.
declare
And I
that
declare
he who studies this sacred conversation of ours
that he who studies this sacred conversation of
worships
ours
me by his intelligence.
worships me by his intelligence.
Yeah. So anyone who simply studies Bhagavad Gita, he's also worshipping the Supreme Lord. If we simply study Bhagavad Gita, studying Bhagavad Gita is also worshipping the Supreme Lord. How? Worshipping the Supreme Lord with our intelligence. If you simply study, because study means what? You have to understand what is there. That means you're using your intelligence to understand. That is also devotional service. So Krishna said that anyone who explains this Bhagavad Gita to those who are devotees, then for him going back to Godhead is guaranteed. Pure devotional service is guaranteed to such a person. And then anyone who engages in studying this conversation of ours, he is also engaged in worshipping me with his intelligence. That is what is said here in this verse. No purport. Okay, let's read the next one also. Shraddhavan anasuyascha
Shraddhavanasuyascha
Srinuyad api yo naraha
Shrunuyad api yo nara
sopi muktah shubhalokan prapnuyat punyakarmanam.
prapnuyat
Sapriya and
punya
Madhava, you're not reciting. When you recite, then your ability to recite the verses becomes fluent. If you don't recite, then it will always remain, uh, new. You will not be able to recite it. So take advantage and recite. Translation. And one who listens with faith
And one who listens with
and
faith
without envy
and without
becomes
envy
free from sinful reactions
becomes free from sinful
and
reactions
attains to the auspicious planets
and attains to the
where the
auspicious
pious
planet
dwell.
where the pious dwell.
Yeah. So anyone who studies this conversation, he is worshipping the Supreme Lord with his intelligence. That's one category. Anyone who listens, right? Where you hold a class, people come, they simply listen. That's all. They're not studying, but they come and they listen. Anyone who listens, and when they're listening with faith. They're not listening with a challenging attitude. Oh, why is Krishna God? Why is Krishna saying this? That he is the supreme? No. Without envy and with faith. Oh, Krishna said, many times you will see, those who are simple hearted, they will come to the temple. Evening they have Bhagavad Gita classes. They'll just come, they will sit with faith because these are the words. Villagers, I'm talking about generally simple people, either villagers or ladies, sometimes men also. It's not necessarily villagers. Those who have that culture in their heart, they can be from cities also. They may be working outside, but those who are simple at heart, they'll come to the temple, they'll just simply sit and listen when there's evening classes with Shraddha, with faith that, oh, these are the words of the Lord. It'll be good for me to listen to what the Lord is saying. They'll just come, they'll listen without envy. Then what is the result? What is the result of listening to Bhagavad Gita with faith, without envy? One who listens with faith and without envy becomes free from sinful reactions. You become free. Becoming free from sinful reaction is not easy. That's why we get this material body again and again. Is it so easy to become free? No. Repeated cycle of birth and death is nothing but our reactions to our karma, or to speak of sinful reactions. So much suffering. It's not so easy. But if you simply listen to Bhagavad Gita with faith and without envy, you become free from sinful reactions. Just see how simple is that. But that also we don't want to do. We think it is waste of time, or it's too boring, or let me do something else during this time. Instead of paying attention to this 10 minutes when we read Bhagavad Gita, during that time also we want to do other things, something else. But those who are listening with faith and without challenging, without envy, they become free from sinful reactions and attain to the auspicious planets where the pious dwell. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. In the 67th verse of this chapter, the Lord explicitly forbade the Gita's being spoken to those who are envious of the Lord. Yes, remember? You should not speak this to those who are envious, you should speak to devotees, there it is said. In other words, Bhagavad Gita is for the devotees only. But it so happens that sometimes this question was asked, right? When we were discussing that, this question was asked. Sometimes we don't have control. People who come and they sit, right? Then the speaker is speaking to devotees. That person who came may not be a devotee. So we addressed that question that day. But see how Srila Prabhupada is answering. But it so happens that sometimes a devotee of the Lord will hold open class. And in that class, not all the students are expected to be devotees. Why do such persons hold open class then? Right? You should be speaking only to devotees. Why you speak to an open class where you invite everyone to come? How do you know if everyone is a devotee or not? It is explained here that although not everyone is a devotee, still there are many men who are not envious of Krishna. They are not envious of Krishna. They have faith in him as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. If such persons hear from a bona fide devotee about the Lord, the result is that they become at once free from all sinful reactions. See, if you become free from sinful reactions, you have an advantage. Yesham tvantagatam papam jananam punya karmanam. Now they are very ripe to receiving the instructions. They get that determination to take to devotional service if they become free from sinful reaction. So if simply people come and sit without envy, and if they hear Bhagavad Gita, they become free from sinful reactions. And after that, attain to the planetary system where all righteous persons are situated. Therefore, simply by hearing Bhagavad Gita, even a person who does not try to be a pure devotee attains the result of righteous activities. All you do is simply hear Bhagavad Gita. That too, you just come and you hear and then you go about your business. Not that now you have to act upon it or anything. You just hear with faith, that's all. For that, you go to, as if you've done all pious activities, you go to the land of the pious people. How powerful. Even a person who does not try to be a pure devotee attains the result of righteous activities. Thus, a pure devotee of the Lord gives everyone a chance to become free from all sinful reactions and to become a devotee of the Lord. This is the Lord is giving us a chance. By giving this Bhagavad Gita, He is giving us a chance. Those who want to be devotees, those who are taking it seriously, for them also, but even others, they are also benefiting. Generally, those who are free from sinful reactions, those who are righteous, very easily take to Krishna consciousness. The word Punya Karmanam is very significant here. This refers to the performance of great sacrifices like the Ashwamedha Yagya. We just talked about Ambarish Maharaj doing Ashwamedha Yagya. So, performance of great sacrifices like the Ashwamedha Yagya mentioned in the Vedic literature. This is Punya Karma. Those who are righteous in performing devotional service, but who are not pure, can attain the planetary system of the pole star or Dhruvaloka. Those who are righteous in performing devotional service but who are not pure. Okay? You're righteous, dharma. You perform, adhere to dharma, but you're not pure. Then you go to Dhruvaloka, where Dhruva Maharaj is presiding. He is a great devotee of the Lord and he has a special planet which is called the pole star. That means if you hear Bhagavad Gita and you are not a pure devotee yet, you can go to Dhruvaloka where Dhruva Maharaj is a pure devotee and he is the leader there. Such a nice opportunity. And in that association, like in Ambarish Maharaj's association, his subjects became pure devotees. Under Dhruva Maharaj's leadership, after going there, you can also become, isn't it? In that association. So like that. So what did we learn in this verse? If anyone hears Bhagavad Gita with faith, without envy, they go to Dhruvaloka, for example. Go to the planets where the pious live. Okay? Let's read Srila Prabhupada's Leelamrita. So I'll bookmark this for tomorrow. Srila Prabhupada Leelamrita. Srila Prabhupada is in Bombay now, and he also is going to go in Skindia ship to go to America, but he's waiting now, and he's holding classes in the colony, the Skindia Shipping Company's colony, where the employees stay. So they come, they get books from him like that. So we are reading about this Mr. Nagarajan's wife, Mrs. Nagarajan. So she's saying, when he came home, we used to give him courage and we used to tell him, Swamiji, one day you will achieve your target. He would say, time is still not right. Time is still not right. They are all Agyanis. They don't understand, but still I must carry on. Sometimes I would go by and his chadar would be on the chair, but he would be sitting on the window sill. I would ask him, Swamiji, did you have any good contacts? He would say, not much today. I didn't get much, and it is depressing. Tomorrow Krishna will give me more details. And he would sit there quietly. After 10 minutes, he would sit in his chair and start writing. I would wonder how Swamiji was so tired in 1 minute and in another minute. Even if he was tired, he was not defeated. He would never speak discouragement. And we would always encourage him and say, if today you don't get it, tomorrow you will definitely meet some people and they will encourage you. Remember, Srila Prabhupada had to still collect his funds for the ticket, for the travel and all that. I think she was giving a ticket, but he had to arrange for something. A P form and all those things, yeah. So if today you don't get it, tomorrow you will definitely meet some people and they will encourage you. So she's saying, Mrs. Nagarajan is saying, and my friends used to come in the morning and in the evening for discourse, and they would give namaskar and fruits. Mr. Nagarajan, his temperament was very adjustable and homely. Our friends would offer a few rupees. He would say, all right, it will help. He used to walk from our colony to Andheri station. It is 2 kilometers, and he used to go there without taking a bus because he had no money. He would walk 2 kilometers because he didn't have money. Bhaktivedanta Swami had a page printed entitled My Mission, and he would show it to influential men in his attempts to get further financing for Srimad Bhagavatam. Bhaktivedanta Swami had a page printed entitled My Mission, and he would show it to influential men in his attempts to get further financing for Srimad Bhagavatam. The printed statement proposed that God consciousness was the only remedy for the evils of modern materialistic society. Despite scientific advancement and material comforts, there was no peace in the world. Therefore, Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam, the glory of India, must be spread all over the world. Mrs. Morarji asked Bhaktivedanta Swami if he would read Srimad Bhagavatam to her in the evening. This is Sumati Morarji, Skindia Shipping Company's head. He agreed. She began sending her car for him at 6 o'clock each evening, and they would sit in her garden where he would recite and comment on the Bhagavatam. Mrs. Morarji. He used to come in the evening and sing the verses in rhythmic tunes, as is usually done with the Bhagavatam. And certain points, when you sit and discuss, you raise so many points. He was commenting on certain points, but it was all from the Bhagavatam. So he used to sit and explain to me and then go. He could give time and I could hear him. That was for about 10 or 15 days. His backing by Skindia and his sponsorship in the US were a strong presentation. And with the help of the people at Skindia, he obtained his visa on July 28, 1965. But the P form proceedings went slowly and even threatened to be a last insurmountable obstacle. We'll continue tomorrow. Hare Krishna, dear devotees. Thank you all for joining this morning. All of you have a wonderful day in Krishna consciousness. So tomorrow, Suvarnangi Mataji will read, and after that, Neelambari Mataji, and then we'll continue. Then Priyanka Mataji, like that. Hare Krishna.
Thank you.